Hey everybody, I'm Everett Abrams, the Wizard of Wood, and today I'm going to do a video talking about test spots on dilution rates and how you can really dial it in as far as the strength, the time, so forth it's going to take for a product to actually work and be effective. Okay, so let's dial that in and let's talk about it in this video. Hey everybody, Everett Abrams, the Wizard of Wood, back here, and this video, like I said, was talking about test spots, figuring out the strength you're going to need of the product you're going to use to get the desired result you're going to need. And the first thing we want to do is start out with, we have to figure out how we're going to measure. If something's measured 5 to 1, 8 to 1, 10 to 1, and then we're going to adjust, we have to be able to measure that. It's not just a free pour or whatever. We literally use way to measure. Now, some people will do test spots. They have squirt bottles marked with whatever's in the squirt bottle, stripper, cleaner, brightener, whatever type of cleaners, brighteners, and so forth that they're using. That's one way. You can put that in a little caddy or something you would carry around. People do that to do the test spots for when they go out to do an estimate for a customer, and they may do a test spot so that, one, they'll know what they're looking at, how hard is it going to be while they're doing the estimate for something to be stripped, clean, removed, so forth. It also gives a customer an idea of what it's going to look like as well. The other thing it does is, if you're actually doing the work, whether you're a homeowner or a contractor, there is no magic formula for this. So what happens is every job, I always think every job's like a snowflake. Everyone's going to be different in one way or another. So if we're just cleaning gray wood, that's one thing. And if something says, okay, say 3 to 1 to 7 to 1, 7 to 1 is probably going to be okay on grade wood. But let's say we throw in a little mold, mildew, and algae. Should we still keep it 7 to 1? Probably not. Maybe 5 to 1. What happens if there's a little bit of stain, or there's heavy growth or mold or lichens? Maybe we go to 3 to 1. Well, we can start out at 5 to, say it was 3 to 1 to 7 to 1. We can start out at 5 to 1 and then adjust up or down depending on what we're going to need. Now that's okay for cleaning, and a lot of cleaners are pretty easy on wood. They don't fur or fuzz it up a lot. However, strippers will. And what do you do with a stripper? Or what are you stripping? We need to know things to figure out how are we going to dilute the product that we're using. Is the product we're using going to be effective? You have to look at some of my other videos about strippers regarding water base, oil base, the different types, meaning sealers, semi-transparent, semi-solid, solids. As you go up the ladder to paints, urethanes, those kind of things, they get tougher to take off. You have to rely on dwell time and sometimes different products as well. So once we have the product that we're going to use and we figured out that and what we're going to use, then the dilution rate in a test spot really becomes important. Why would you do an entire deck or an entire log cabin? I'll show you some logs back here and so forth when we're doing this. And then say, wow, it didn't come out the way it should have. I thought it would come out better. Let me do it again, that kind of thing. Do a test spot. Test spots take all the guesswork out of it. And that's what we should do. So to do that, we're going to use something that's going to measure it. You can get any kind of container, gallons, quarts, whatever, and then mix. So if something is 4 to 1, you have a 5-gallon bucket, 1 gallon of the product, and then 4 gallons of water, you got 5 to 1. Pretty simple. And then you can go ahead and, do your job from there. Now, if it's a smaller, you're doing a test spot, let's say we want to do this, we'll figure that out at where we just put 1 part of our product and then the rest, say 5 to 1 again, of water, and then that becomes what we're going to use to do a test spot. And then we'll say, you know what, this isn't working, it's taking too long, we have to make it stronger. Hey, this came off like butter, I can just wait 5-10 minutes and this is going to come off. It dials us in, it takes the guesswork out of it. People don't do enough test spots because they think somebody's going to give them the magic, there's a magic pill out there, or a magic 8-ball that we all look at and says, okay, well, this is it. This is the standard for everything. That's not the way it is. How many coats are on there? What product? We have products out there like Bear, that when somebody says they have Bear on there, contractors are either running or they start the job and then run, and you don't see them again. But they're difficult to maintain and difficult to get off, and everybody knows that. Sikkens is another one, which is now Prolux, which is a great product, but it's hard to maintain, and it's hard when you have to strip it. So they're going to take longer dwell times, and test spots really dial you in. Some things are going to take 10 minutes, 5-10 minutes. Some are going to take 20. Some will strip at 20, and some are going to take 45 minutes to an hour sometimes. And you have to keep them misted or keep working these things. But if you do it right, the end result is magic, because the wood surface will be prepped and ready to go. So, okay, now that we figured out how we're going to do that, we're going to dilute it, we're going to use cleaners, we're going to use strippers, we're going to do test spots. How do we do that test spot? Well, let's go take a look at that. And we're going to first do a cleaner on grade wood here on the deck, and then I'll show you some of the test spots we did from a Farm Fest event we just had a couple weeks ago. All right, everybody, Everett Abrams, the Wizard of Wood here. We're out on the deck. We want to do a test spot. And the first thing we're going to do is we want to pre-wet the wood before we put a cleaner on. I'm going to show you a spot where I just did a few minutes to prep for this. But I want to pre-wet the wood. Then I want to use a deck cleaner, which here we have a sodium percarbonate, our oxygenated bleach deck cleaner, which we're going to put right here on the wood. Okay. And we're going to agitate it a little bit with the brush. Now, we could use a pressure washer on a larger scale, but this is just a test spot. We're just trying to figure out, hey, what do we need to do this? So again, we're going to put a deck cleaner on here. Again, oxygenated bleach. You can already see the wood tone coming up there. Okay. Agitate it a little, let it sit. And we usually let it sit for, if we're doing a deck, probably 5 to 10 minutes is all we need on a grade deck, which is all this deck is grade. I'll show you, like I said, I'll show you some more test spots in just a second. But we want to let it sit for 5 to 10 minutes. Most deck cleaners, okay, not chlorine bleach with by itself, but if you put chlorine bleach with house wash, if you use sodium metasilicate or use sodium percarbonate, there's a lifting ability into it, which means this does the work and you don't have to use the pressure. But this, like I said, this is a test spot. So what we want to do is we want to adjust this. And we're going to use a little bit of pressure from a pressure washer, right? And you can actually see how that comes off. And we didn't wait a lot of time there, really, okay? And we see how nice the wood comes out, but that's not the end of it, because we're also going to put the brightener on. Homeowners want to see that. And watch how quick this changes color. It's pretty dark now because most alkalines will darken it up. Look at that. Look how that lightens it up. And that's what the wood should look like. That's the end result. There's your test spot. Hey, we know we're only gonna have a 5-minute time. Boom, we're good. Now, if this had mold and mildew, organic growth, like algae, lichens, moss, whatever it is, on cedar shakes, I see the logs behind me, any of that stuff, then you're gonna have to adjust. So we went at a 7 to 1 ratio here. We might have adjusted that to 5 to 1 or 5 to 1 and then adjust up or down, depending on what we need to do this job. So cedar shakes are very porous. Sometimes the mold, their growth, the lichens, the moss will really attach to it. And sometimes you're gonna have to do a post-treat too. So don't think you wouldn't have to do 2 treatments, because that happens too. So if we look over here, I'm gonna move this over a little. This is the one I just did. And you can see how it's already drying and still wet, but how it looks when it's been brightened and been sitting after it's been cleaned for about 10 or 15 minutes. All right, that's just deck cleaning. Now let's take a look at stripping. All right, everybody, Everett Abrams, the Wizard of Wood, back again. I've already put stripper on here and had it dwelling for a while. Not sure how it's gonna come out, but we're watching it with the video just as I am. We'll see how it comes out. I've had stripper on here for about 15-20 minutes. And you can see that it was stained on here before. So this is what we're trying to figure out is, how's this gonna come out when we put on the stripper and we do our test spot. Now, one good thing about this is you can see right away when you do the brightener and when you're doing this. So this is 20 minutes. So we can say, okay, will we adjust this? Will we go more? Will we go less? And when we look at this, we see the wood's coming up, but the wood gets dark. And you have to trust the process when it comes to using strippers, these type of strippers. So on this one, it's going to be dark. You're going to get the alkaline in it, and you got to realize it's going to be dark. And then what you do is you're going to come back with the brightener, like we did with the cleaner. And when we do that, we rinse, and we rinse real good, and then we put on the brightener, and we get an idea of what this is going to come out like pretty quickly, and we can adjust from here. Now, if this didn't pick it up in 20 minutes, we're either going to make it stronger. Now, what I did here was, because it was stain, okay, I made it 5-to-1, from the 3-to-1 to 7-to-1 that was recommended by the manufacturer. So when I do 3-to-1 to 7-to-1, or 5-to-1, I mean, in that range, I know whether I need to make it stronger. So on the next one, maybe I go 3-to-1 and do for 30 minutes. Let's take a look what it's going to look like. Just now we can tell from around us that it's pretty good, actually. So when you look at this, you can see the dark over here, the dark over here, the dark on the other side, and you can see that we pretty much have the stain up, but we don't like the real color richness of the wood. There's still some black in here. So what we want to do is change this to 3-to-1 and then work on a 30-minute dwell time instead of 20 minutes. But we would still check it at 20 minutes to make sure, see if it's coming up, okay? And just to double check, put that brightener on there again, but it really does need to be adjusted. And that's what we notice when we're working with this stuff. So again, test spots, they dial us in. This is real world stuff, okay? All right, let's take a look at some other stuff and we'll finish up the video. Okay, Everett Abrams, the Wizard of Wood, back here, and I came over and I put something called a solvent-based stripper. It's not a caustic. It's not like your other strippers that you're used to using, but anytime we get into semi-solid, solids, urethanes, paints, we go to solvent-based strippers. They don't have to be brightened, but they need a longer dwell time usually. But it depends on the product and so forth that we already discussed. So on here, we had somewhat of a semi-solid here, and you can see it. I mean, it's pretty opaque. You can see the character of the wood, but not the grain or anything through. So what happened is we put, and you can see it here, the solvent-based, which is the white, and we put it here. I started to take it off. I'm going to go right back here. And again, I would probably have scraped this first, maybe. I don't know. Maybe I would just use pressure from the pressure washer. Sorry about that. And I'm going to leave a line there where the solvent is. And you can see, there's people that think that you can't get paints and solid stains off. You can. And that's what happens here. And you can literally see it where this is, and this was probably only about a 20-minute dwell time, the same as the other stripper. And we can see here that we're almost down to wood. There's a little bit of gray in here, probably a little longer dwell time or a reapplication, and we would have knocked this one out of the ballpark here. So don't think that when we're talking about test spots, we're talking about solvent-based strippers, we're talking about regular strippers, caustic strippers, we're talking about cleaners, everything. And it doesn't matter what's on the deck. I know there's people that will run when they see solid stains. You don't need to run anymore. There are products that remove them. If a customer wants it off, you can get it off. You know, you might have to do some sanding. Not everything is magic. Again, no magic pills. It's probably not going to take 100% of it off, but you don't want to, because if you did, you'd probably be using too much pressure or making the chemical or the product too strong. We work on a 90-10 rule. We want to get at least 90% of it off. And if we have to come back and sand 10% of it or address 10% of it, we're okay with that. You know, it's going to be hard where the mat was, where the umbrella stand was, where the table was sitting. It's going to protect that stain underneath. So that's actually where you want to do a test spot, because if you can get it wherever you're going to have the hardest time, the rest of it's going to go easy. So this is how you do test spots. This is how you dial it in. This is how you get where you want to get when it comes to being 100% and knowing how the job's going to come out and what's going to make it easier for you to do it. So I don't care whether you're a homeowner, I don't care whether you're a contractor or whoever, test spots, they make a big difference. You can adjust, as you just saw, you can adjust dilution rates. You can adjust your dwell time, whether it's got to sit longer or you can take it off sooner and get done sooner. I'm Everett Abrams, the Wizard of Wood. I hope this has been helpful to everybody who's watching the video. If you liked it, please like the channel and subscribe. Thank you for watching.